Reading is very complicated. It is very important for teachers to learn the science of reading. Teaching reading and being successful at it requires understanding of reading process, instruction, and assessment. Learning can be extremely complicated for students in reading and other subjects if they cannot read. The science of reading is basically all the methods and components of proven reading research. Knowing how to teach students the core components of reading, which are phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. These can make learning reading easier. Teaching these methods and components will give students a great advantage in learning how to read and using these advantages for years to come. The simple reading view. The simple reading view is how reading comprehension is developed and supported by reading research. It is characterized by two components. Those two components are word recognition and language recognition. Word recognition is being able to recognize words that you see while reading. Language recognition is understanding the words that you're reading. So having these two components would develop fluent readers. The reading rope is designed with a upper strand and lower strand. The upper strands are vocabulary, language structure, verbal reasoning, literature knowledge, and background knowledge. The lower strands consist of sight recognition, decoding, and phonological awareness. This rope was constructed to give a visual view of the simple view and of the processes. It also shows all the components that a person needs in order to be a fluent reader. In my district, we have students who don't have very much background knowledge, so it's hard for them to associate words with meaning. Background knowledge plays a big role in reading. Like I said, I stay in a small district where it's poverty stricken. A lot of kids don't get to experience a lot. They haven't seen a lot. They don't get to go anywhere. Memphis is 5 minutes away from Memphis, Tennessee is 5 minutes away from West Memphis, Arkansas. And there are people who stay here that haven't even been to Memphis. So we use, for example, we use Lucy Cocken. She's from a different area, different state, different dynamic, just different, period. And there may be a lesson that tells us to tell the students to imagine being at the beach. Well, our students can't imagine being at the beach because we don't stay in an area that has a beach. And it may be that they've never traveled anywhere to have a beach. So I think the rope is a good illustration for everyone to understand the different parts and how different parts play a role. The 4-part processor is basically the different processes that your brain process as you're reading. So if a person doesn't have a process that's processing, then they don't have that particular part that's enabling them to understand or giving them the capability to read. The phases of word level reading. This is basically, in my opinion, giving the individual a phase where they are alphabetically. They might be a student who doesn't know letters, but they know sounds. It might be a student who knows letters and don't know sounds. And knowing letters and sounds play a big part in knowing how to read and being able to decode and being able to decode those words that they've never seen before. Phonological awareness is being able to hear sounds as they relate to word parts. I think phonological awareness is very important for reading. This goes back to having the foundation of reading This gives students the capability to blend and segment when they can hear sounds and they can associate those sounds with letters. Phonics is the connection between letters and sounds. Learning phonics enables students to read familiar words and words they never seen before. So as I'm reading these parts in the presentation, we can kind of tell how all of these things overlap. It is very important to have phonics because it is the association between the letters and sounds. The phonological awareness is being able to hear the sound, and phonics gives them the ability to take those sounds and relate them to printed letters. In kindergarten, we teach them that letters make words, words make sentences. So all of these are in correlation with creating fluent readers. Fluency is being able to have the capability to read with accuracy. This is reading and speaking without having any problems with words or word recognition or letters or sounds. It is being accurate in all aspects of reading. Vocabulary is knowing words and knowing their meaning. In this slide, it tells the more background knowledge the students have, the better the vocabulary will be. Experiencing a lot, seeing a lot gives them that vocabulary. It gives them the experiences to be able to relate to things that they're reading. A person might be reading a story about going to kindergarten. At this point, they can relate to the story because they've experienced the first day. They've experienced getting ready for kindergarten, the first day of kindergarten, actually arriving in kindergarten, meeting the teacher, knowing what kindergarten is all about. So that background knowledge is very important for any aspect in life. The code emphasis versus meaning emphasis. The code emphasis is basically when a teacher works with a certain group of students. I do this. This is at this point called the small group. When the other students are in their centers, doing the actual centers for literacy. I pulled a group of students who are having trouble with certain things. Right now we're doing onset and rhyme and rhyming words and beginning sounds and ending sounds. I will work with the students who are fluent or master these skills. I would review those skills and try to introduce them to new skills. The students that haven't mastered these, I would bring them back and do different activities and work on them with those actual skills to get them to a point where they can master their skill as well. The meaning emphasis is basically the methods and things that I use in order to get the students to where they need to be. Orthographic mapping is the formation of letters and sounds that enable students to know the meaning of word, punctuation, and spelling. So to me, orthographic mapping is associated with spelling and how words are spelled and how students associate those spellings and different things to be able to recognize different words. For example, we're doing rhyming in the class, and I was explaining to the students that rhyming words sound the same at the end. So if we have the word cat and the rhyming word is hat or mat, if they know the letters and the letter sounds, they will be able to recognize the beginning, and they will also be able to recognize the ending as well, because they can see the ending of the word is at, but in order to manipulate and change it, you will have to change the first sound, which is cat, and hat is a H, which is so being able to see a picture, because right now we're not doing printing, so being able to see a picture and them listening to the first sound of the word, they are able to tell me that it rhymes because the ending sound sounds the same, but they will be able to tell me that the beginning sound has changed and be able to tell me what letter that is. In conclusion, the science of reading is very important and necessary for reading. It breaks down the different parts of processes that take place and give individuals the ability to read. As an individual, I understand why and how reading takes place because of all of the things tied into the science of reading. As a teacher, I know now what is expected and needed in order to teach students how to read. And teaching, guiding, reading, and just telling them this word is this word is that, it will not help them in the long run or be able to teach themselves new words or be able to pronounce new words that they've never seen before. So I think the science of reading is very important. I think it is very important for teachers to associate themselves and be familiar and learn everything that they need to know about the science of reading.